UFC Vegas 99 is this weekend, and so is an actual intriguing fight for PFL. Go figure. We're getting Larissa, the running back for the Kansas City Chiefs, Pacheco, versus Chris Cyborg. We're also getting Francis Ngannou, the Predator's return. Not Pat Berry Predator, but the Predator Francis Ngannou's return against Renan Ferreira. Those are the two fights that should be interesting on the PFL card. In addition, we have UFC Fight Night Vegas 99, which is actually a pretty good card. Now, there was a long poop break on the prelims of the UFC Fight Night, and I kind of wish they just had that around the same time the Ngannou-Ferreira fight were to go on, but I digress. We're going to talk about the fights today. Who I think's going to win. Overall record so far is 259 and 155. Big week last week, 11-1, hitting the two underdogs that won. I also went balls to the wall and picked Brad Tavares over Jung Young Park, because I thought he'd be able to stuff a lot of the takedowns, which he did. He just got jabbed up the whole time. And Brad Tavares, had a chance to win that fight. He was powerful. He was aggressive. He just kind of let the win slip away from him. But let's get into it. I'm not going to cope over my one loss last week. It was a damn fucking good week. We're going to talk about the wins that I'm getting this week. And no shocker, right out the gate, I'm going with Rebels to Spain to knock out Austin Lane cold in the first round. Listen. There is a very easy roadmap to beat Rebels to Spain, and that is to shoot takedowns, hold him to the ground, and don't let him get up each round. However, every round starts on the feet. Waldo Cortez Acosta is far more athletic than some of the people that we've seen Rebels to Spain fight thus far. Now, I will say that I actually think Austin Lane is the most athletic person that Rebels to Spain has fought so far, including Waldo Cortez Acosta, but I think Austin Lane is not as much of a fighter as he is a football player. He goes in there, he's got good range, reach, height, all that good stuff. Decent, very decent power, nothing great, nothing crazy, nothing that I think he's going to catch Rebels to Spain with and leave him stiff. But he can shoot takedowns. He was a football player. He was on the defensive side of the football too. I believe he was playing D-end. I don't entirely remember, but at 6'6", 254, he was probably playing on the end or a linebacker position, but I think he's too tall for linebacker, honestly. Not to do this whole football breakdown thing. If you want to see football stuff, go to the Since the Sandbox YouTube page. You can see all of our stuff there with my co-host Steve Toro, but I don't think Austin Lane's going to, I don't want to say be tough enough, but I think there's a fear factor here. I don't think he's just going to be blitz shooting takedowns on Rebels to Spain. I think he's going to be afraid to get in the range. And Rebels to Spain, when the fight starts, he's walking forward and he's winging right away. So Austin Lane's going to have to time these takedowns perfectly. And Rebels to Spain, we know when he gets to the ground isn't getting back up. But I think Rebels to Spain has been working on one thing and one thing only, and that is his takedown defense. So I do expect it to be slightly improved in this fight. I do think that Waldo Cortez Acosta is probably a better MMA takedown stylist than Austin Lane is. And I just think Rebels to Spain is going to hit him a couple times early. Austin Lane is going to quit in there, and it's going to be a first-round knockout within the first 2 minutes. So I'm going to go with Rebels to Spain, first-round knockout within the first 2 minutes. Getting Austin Lane with a couple of shots, nothing too crazy, but Austin Lane doesn't like him, covers up, and gets finished here. Rebels to Spain, first-round knockout is the pick, minus 500, shocker. And here is this beautiful poop break that we're talking about. Melissa Martinez and Arlise Ardeline to start. Now, I would watch this fight because Ardeline's got that badonkadonk, but I'm going to go with Elise Ardeline, man. I think 32 is more prime for women's MMA. I was remotely impressed, more impressed with Elise Ardeline than I am with some of these early prelim fighters in her last fight against Shauna Bannon. Now, I think Shauna Bannon shit. But Elise Ardeline made it a little bit scrappier and tougher for her when Shauna Bannon was supposed to go there and just mollywop this woman. I'm picking Elise Ardeline because I think Melissa Martinez stinks. Listen, I don't think she throws at high volume. I don't think she has power. I don't think her grappling's better than Elise Ardeline. I think Elise Ardeline is more physically strong. Think she's older. She's got more woman strength than girl strength, if you know what I mean. Like Elise Ardeline is grown into, she's 32. I think that's more of a prime age for women's MMA than 27. When I look at prime for women's MMA, I'm looking at the age 32 to 38. Whereas in men's MMA, we're looking at 29 to 33. That's the kind of prime there. Because the chin's not going in women's MMA, really. They're not getting caught unless you're fighting a Denise Gomes or something like that. Like a woman in women's MMA. Denise Gomes. I think we need a chromosome check. But regardless, now I'm just playing around. Relax. It's a fucking joke. I'm allowed to have fun. Elise Ardeline, I think, is going to get it done. I think she's just a little bit of a better overall fighter. And I'm going to take the slight underdog here. I think that they're going to want to promote Elise Ardeline a little bit more. She has more fights, more experience. I'm going to go with Elise Ardeline. I also think she's fought a little bit tougher competition here. I actually don't know anyone other than Shanna Bannon that she's fought. So, yeah, dude, it's just fucking low-level women's MMA. Like, what do you want me to do? Flip a fucking coin? Like, I don't actually have a coin on me. I can flip this M1 Garand bullet that I shot at the range the other day. Was sick, by the way. I'm a pretty decent shot, not gonna lie. Not gonna lie, pretty decent shot. Melissa Martinez, who he fought? I don't fucking care. Why am I even going into that? She's 5-0 with a knockout streak, but every time it goes to decision, she loses, which was once, against Elise Reed. Elise Reed stinks. But she's Mexican. Oh, that changes things for me. She's Mexican. And I think that Melissa Martinez is going to get a robbery decision here. I'm going to go with Melissa Martinez by decision, actually. She's Mexican. She's going to get the judge's decision because you know what Dana White likes to do. They're in Vegas at the Apex. Sal D'Amato's probably fucking working. Sal D'Amato's out there cooking. You know, he's pushing the UFC agenda. They want to do an event in Mexico. Melissa Martinez is probably training at the UFC PI in Mexico. Probably smoking Dana White's rod because Dana White's got to make love letters to Mexicans. I'm going to go with Melissa Martinez to win by robbery decision here, guys. Hot take, but I think we're getting a split decision that half the people that have bet on this fight are going to be upset about. Melissa Martinez is the pick. Robbery decision. Jessica Peen versus Elise Reed. What is this fucking fight, dude? Oh my god. Jessica Penne, 41 years old. Probably got mom strength. Elise Reed may be one of the worst fighters that I have ever seen in my life. She subbed Loopy Godinez, though. The fuck's that all about? She subbed Loopy Godinez. She hasn't been active. Don't want to say Jessica Penne's been either. I don't think Jessica Penne's been active. I'm going to go with the UFC narrative. I'm going to go Elise Reed, man. I think that the UFC is more likely to give the younger woman with a submission victory on her record a decision than I do think that they would give Jessica Penne, a 41-year-old that's probably done with the sport after this or one other fight, a win. I think they're going to try and promote Elise Reed more, and I think the UFC is just so quick. She lost to Loopy Godinez. Why did I think that was a win? I'm so dumb. Got subbed easy. Penne's got BJJ background in grappling. I don't fucking know, dude. But I'm going to bet with the UFC agenda here, and I'm going to go with Elise Reed, thinking that this fight is probably going to go to a decision, even though Jessica Penne's got more experience. She got subbed by Ricci. Not a great look. Decision by Ducote. She beat Loopy by a split, robbed her. Bad decision. Wow, really bad decision. Back in 2021. Last fought in March of 2023. It's been a year and a half out. Yeah, it's Elise Reed. Even though Elise Reed hasn't been overly active, she's been more active than Jessica Penne. She's younger. She's going to have the UFC's push. I'm going with Elise Reed to win this fight by another bad decision. And we move on. So the poop break's almost over. Take a little extra time wiping your ass. It's going to be about a full hour 15 minutes. They're going to be sitting on the shitter, possibly getting a hemorrhoid for these crap fights that are coming on. But we're going with Jocelyn Edwards. Listen, I know Tamara's Vidal probably had some transition in her life. I'm just kidding. It's a joke. Relax. But yeah, dude, I know I usually go with the Brazilian manpower here, but I'm going to go with the Panamanian manpower here with Jocelyn Edwards. I do think she has more technique, do think she has more skill, do think that she can be ranked at bantamweight at some point in women's bantamweight, think she can beat some of the people in the rankings there, and I do think she's just technically more sound and better than Tamara's Vidal. Tamara's Vidal always gasses out. Jocelyn Edwards is known to go to a lot of decisions. I'm going to go with Tamara's Vidal. She got knocked out by Melissa Gatto. She got split decision by Montserrat Rendon, and I think Rendon only won that fight because she got that cake. She knocked out Ramona Pascal. Listen, with the size of the traps on Tamara's Vidal, she might be able to knock out Pedro Pascal, okay? But I'm going with Jocelyn Edwards to win this fight. I think she's just going to be the more technical fighter, more sound fighter, use her jab, use her low kicks, and she does have a little bit of damaging strikes herself, also favor her in the grappling advantage and the cardio advantage. So I think Jocelyn Edwards is going to get this one done by decision. Nah, dude, late TKO. Tamaras Vidal's going to go for it early. Jocelyn Edwards is going to remain sound. Tag Tamaras Vidal. Round 2 knockout, Jocelyn Edwards. Still worth sitting on the shitter and watching, though. You know what I mean? Brad Katona versus Gene Matsumoto now. This is a much trickier fight than people have given it credit for, but I am going to go with the undefeated Gene Matsumoto. Think he's got the UFC on his side. I think they'd rather see him win than Brad Katona. I think he's Brazilian and Brad Katona's Canadian, and Canadian men don't get it done in the sport. We saw that at UFC 297. Sorry for all my Canadian followers, but unless your name's Mike Mallet, even though he lost to Neil Magny, Mike Mallet's better fighter than Neil Magny. Even though I picked Neil Magny, it went the way that I thought. Sometimes the test doesn't work. Okay, you can't just feed everyone to Neil Magny and have them win. Neil Magny's got to do a couple of fraud checks. But I don't think Brad Katona's that good. Like, he impressively beat down Jesse Butler, but like, bro, I'm beating up Jesse Butler. Let me tell you that right now. But Brad Katona, don't like his striking. I like Matsumoto's striking more. I also like Matsumoto's ability to defend takedowns or throw up submissions off of bad takedowns attempts. That's how he got Dan Argueta. Dan Argueta shot a relentless amount of takedowns at him, and he defended and shucked a lot of them off. I remember him throwing Dan Argueta to the side quite a few times, and when Dan Argueta did have success, it's because Gene Matsumoto let him into his guard and was going for submissions. And I think that he can catch Brad Katona with a submission here. I'm going to go with Gene Matsumoto to win by round 2 submission with a triangle choke off of him beating up Brad Katona early and then Brad Katona shooting to try and save himself in this fight. Brad Katona doesn't get finished much. He doesn't. He's, actually in his submission game, he's good himself. I like Gene Matsumoto's submission game. You know what? It's going to be a decision. Gene Matsumoto is going to win a decision, being the better grappler and then ultimately being the better striker. I think his grappling defense and I think his grappling offense in terms of the jiu-jitsu game is going to nullify the takedown attempts and the control from Brad Katona, and then it's going to get back to the feet at points, and Matsumoto is going to look better on the feet, going to blast some low kicks. I expect him to use those low kicks very well in this fight, and I expect him to land big power shots that we see Brad Katona wobble from a little bit. So I'm going Gene Matsumoto to win a decision 30-27. Mateusz Nicolau versus Asu Almabayev. Have I picked all favorites? Indeed I have. Thinking about the Elise Ardeline one still, but I think Nicolau can win this fight. But Asu Almabayev does have finishability on the ground. Has not been submitted. Submitted 9 people. Only one in the UFC, though. Like, he subbed Ode Osborne. He grappled the hell out of Jose Johnson. And he outclassed CJ Vergara. Those aren't that impressive of wins to me, man. I don't think Nicolau's going to be this guy that's, knocking him out on the feet. I do think he can slow this fight down, jab up Asu Almabayev, dance around on the outside, but I think Almabayev's going to have the forward pressure in this fight a lot, and I do think Almabayev, while this is a tricky fight for him, am I going to go Mateusz Nicolau here? No, dude, I think the judges want to push Asu Almabayev. I think they're looking to push the Kazakhstani fan base a little bit more, especially with Shavkat having a big fight coming up. I'm going to go with Asu Almabayev to win a split decision here over Mateusz Nicolau. This is going to be one of those fights where they score control over damage and they give it to Asu Almabayev. I do think that Asu Almabayev is going to be able to hold Mateusz Nicolau to the ground at points. I don't see him necessarily being able to advance position very well. I don't see him getting caught in a submission. I don't see Nicolau getting caught in a submission. I can see Nicolau doing better on the feet, but I think that this is going to be one of those fights that do get stalled out a bit against the cage, do get stalled out when it does get to the ground, and Nicolau's not throwing enough volume to really get the judges to turn their eye, especially knowing that there's probably going to be a bias to Almabayev here. They're done with Mateusz Nicolau. He's fought a lot of the guys up top and lost, so I'm going with Asu Almabayev to win a decision here. Split. Daniel Pineda is going to knock out Darren Elkins in round 1. I think Daniel Pineda's finishing power in round 1 is very, very good, especially for featherweight. And I think Darren Elkins is super, super hittable. He's 40. And I know that he's got the cardio game, and Daniel Pineda's the guy to gas out. And if this does get to round 3, I am scared that Darren Elkins will just be looking like a fucking Halloween massacre and somehow submit or TKO Daniel Pineda by gassing him out. But I'm going to pick Daniel Pineda to get the knockout in round one. I think his striking's better. I think his power's better. I think his finishability's better. I like his submission game better. He's younger. I like his activity more. I think he fought in July against Nathaniel Wood, lost a decision, but like Darren Elkins gets killed by Nathaniel Wood. Alex Caceres, he lost by a decision, but he had a scrappy good fight with him back in June of 23. Had a Tucker Lutz fight, so he fought 3 times in the past year, but he also took some time off after an Andre Feely fight because he fought for PEDs, actually. Yeah, maybe. But I'm going to go with Pineda, dude. I don't think Darren Elkins is good. I think his time's done. I don't think this is time. Like, he's the classic, like, 19 or early 2000s guy. It's like, dude, he's such a warrior. He took so much damage and kept walking forward, man. It's not that time anymore. Like, it's not TJ Brown he's fighting. He's fighting Daniel Pineda. He lost to JSP, got knocked out by Cup Swanson. I think he's getting knocked out here by Daniel Pineda. We're going with it. Daniel Pineda, first round knockout. Wow. Main card opener. Anyway, Brady Highstand, Jake Hadley. Yeah, we're going to go underdog on this one. I'm going Jake Hadley. I think he's just more skilled than Brady Highstand. I think he's good enough to defend some of these takedowns. I think Brady Highstand has great cardio and can relentlessly shoot, but I think Jake Hadley's striking is better. I think he looks a lot more comfortable at 135 or 137 because he missed weight, but yeah, man, I'm going to go with Jake Hadley underdog pick here. I think that his striking is going to be better. I think he's going to be able to slow this fight down, defend a lot of takedowns of Brady Highstand, land some good knees to the body, land a couple of good body shots, and win a decision against Brady Highstand. I'm going Jake Hadley to win a decision. Technically a better fighter, and I think he can hold off enough of the takedowns to make it look like Brady Highstand is either looking tired or failing a lot. So I'm going to go with Jake Hadley to win this fight, 29-28 decision. Charles Johnson versus Suma Derji. Charles Johnson's a very good fighter. It's not pretty always watching, but I think he's a really good fighter. And I was going to say that Suma Darji's a really live underdog here. His striking's good. I think he can use his range and really cause problems for Charles Johnson. But I actually think Charles Johnson's got a hell of a chin. Love his activity. Love the wrestling and grappling advantage that he has here. He's not going to be worrying about someone taking him down in this fight, so he's going to be able to stand and strike a lot. And I do think that's right in Suma Derji's warehouse. But I do think if someone does want to grapple, it's going to be Charles Johnson. And he's going to have moments where he does implement it to tire out Suma Derji. I'm going to go with Charles Johnson to win this fight, and I think he's going to get it done by submission in round 2. I think Suma Derji's going to have some success early, land really good low kicks, land a good straight 2 down the middle, but I think Charles Johnson's just going to end up being able to eat those, land some crappy low kicks of his own, throw a straight 2 to the body with nothing setting it up, land a couple jabs, throw a couple combinations, push Mudarji against the fence, land some elbows, land some knees, drag him to the ground, take him into these deeper waters late round 2, and end up getting a rear naked choke submission when Mudarji gives up his back to get up. That's how I see this going. Charles Johnson, rear naked choke, round 2. Mudarji's a live dog, though, guys. I'm not going to lie here. But we're going to move on to the co-main event. Banger of a fight. Rob Font, Kyler Phillips. Rob Font at plus 15 at 315 is majorly disrespected. Think he is overall a more technical boxer than Kyler Phillips, but I do think Kyler Phillips is going to have the pop, have the speed to be able to counter the jab or land in simultaneous fashion with Rob Font's jab, blast some low kicks, implement wrestling when he wants. Now, I do worry about cardio here for Kyler Phillips. I think Kyler Phillips is going to win the first 2 rounds, and I think he's going to win them based off landing the better shots, specifically more powerful, more damaging shots. Maybe have Rob Font wobbled at times, but round 3, Rob Font's going to pull away, land that jab a lot, have moments where he looks like he's breaking Kyler Phillips, but Kyler Phillips did enough to win the first 2 rounds. Kyler Phillips also has the UFC on his side. They want him going up in the rankings. They don't want Rob Font holding that spot. I'm sure they love having Rob Font in the top 15, but I think they'd rather see a newer name go into that top 10. I think Kyler Phillips is the guy that they're going to put up there. So even if it's a close fight, judges will give it to Kyler Phillips, and I do think Kyler Phillips is going to win this fight 29-28 decision by winning rounds 1 and 2, being the more damaging fighter, landing the better shots. I think low kicks are going to be big in this fight. I also think he's going to have a lot of success in the grappling and really start to wear on Rob Font. But I do think as round 3 comes along, I think you're going to see Rob Font have a lot of success walking Kyler Phillips down, landing his jab in succession. You're going to have a moment in this fight where you see Rob Font land 5 stiff jabs in a row and you're going, whoa, is he about to fucking finish Kyler Phillips here in round 3? But Phillips will shoot, have some success, either get the takedown or, clear the cobwebs by shooting for the legs. That sounded sus. Pause. But yeah, Kyler's going to get it done by decision here. Better grappling, faster hand. I don't know about faster hands, but more fast twitch muscle. I think so. And Kyler Phillips has used PEDs in the past. I don't put it against him to cheat. So Kyler Phillips by decision. Are we not due for a first round knockout? Now, I'm telling you right now, Michel Pereira is my pick for first round knockout, and we're due for a flash one in the first round. I think it's going to be like a front kick right up the middle that he times perfectly, or a knee that Anthony Hernandez is shooting for the legs and he just catches them perfectly. That's what I'm going to go with here. Even at range, I think Michel Pereira can land a stiff 1-2 that is knocking everybody in the division down. Knocked down Ihor Potieria with it. Knocked out Andre Petroski with it. And he actually hurt Michal Oleńczyk to the body before he ended up finishing with a submission. But I think Michel Pereira has a great submission game as well. I do worry if this gets taken past round 1 that Anthony Hernandez is just going to be able to drown him and Michel Pereira is going to get tired. This gets past round 1, it's Anthony Hernandez, and he's going to win very easily by submission in round 2 or 3. But I think Michel Pereira is going to catch him early. We're due for a flash knockout. Now, I hate that this is a fight that's being made because these are the number, I think it's 14 and 13 ranked contenders right now in middleweight. Both of these guys are top 10 caliber. I don't know why we're not seeing an Anthony Hernandez versus a Jack Hermansson, an Anthony Hernandez versus a Marvin Vettori, a Michel Pereira versus either of those guys, Michel Pereira versus Paulo Costa. Listen, these top 10 guys need to get filtered out, but instead we put 2 top 10 caliber guys, new talent in the division against each other, so one has to lose. Terrible matchmaking by the UFC. It's going to be a sick fight, fun fight. Someone's coming out on top, but I think the UFC fucked themselves because they had a chance at having 2 guys that the fan base could get behind that are new, that could be serious contenders, brand new, fresh contenders in the division, and they matched them up against each other. It's dumb matchmaking, stupid matchmaking. I think Anthony Hernandez is top 10 level. I think he's going to beat a lot of people in this middleweight division, but unfortunately he's going to get stalled out by a Michel Pereira knockout in this fight. Now, if Michel Pereira gets submitted, I think he beats a lot of the guys in the top 10. But Anthony Hernandez, him losing to Anthony Hernandez is going to slow that roll down. It's going to slow the rise of Michel Pereira, which no one wanted to see. So the UFC did a bad job of matchmaking here. 2 really good fighters. Both guys should be fighting way higher up in the rankings. I wanted to see Michel Pereira versus Jack Hermansson, Anthony Hernandez versus Marvin Vettori. Those are the fights that you should have made, but instead we get them against each other. Bad work by the UFC. But we are due for a flash knockout by Michel Pereira, man. We are fucking due for a first round main event finish. Bobby Green-esque to Grant Dawson last year. We haven't seen one in a while. I think it's coming via flying knee or a front kick, but round 1, Michel Pereira knockout's the pick. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please like and subscribe. Make sure you tune in. Wait a minute. I'm not done. Let's talk the 2 PFL fights. I almost totally forgot. Larissa Pacheco versus Chris Cyborg. I'm going Larissa Pacheco, younger fighter, can defend takedowns, will stand on the feet, and has crazy power as well. I know Cyborg's done it longer, done it better, but I just think it's time that we see a newer name, maybe. I'm going to go with Larissa Pacheco to win here, and I think she's just going to get a knockout. I don't know. I don't really care about that fight. The one that you want to hear is Francis Ngannou versus Renan Ferreira. This was an easy Ngannou pick up until he got knocked out by Anthony Joshua. But he got knocked out bad by Anthony Joshua. And Renan Ferreira has crazy power. But I don't think Renan Ferreira is going to be able to get Francis Ngannou to the ground. I think Francis Ngannou has been working on boxing, so his head movement's going to be a lot better than Renan Ferreira's. He's fought better boxers, so I don't think Renan Ferreira is really going to get Francis Ngannou with the hands. And I think Francis is going to remain composed, let Renan Ferreira throw some crazy shit early, and as halfway through round one continues to take way, he's going to blast a couple low kicks that really hurt Renan Ferreira's legs, and he is going to land big, powerful shots and knock out Renan Ferreira in round one. I'm going with Francis Ngannou knockout round one. Regardless of how this fight goes, it will be a first round finish, but I'm going with Francis Ngannou. I'd rather see him win. Think he deserves it. Renan Ferreira made a comment about his child passing away, which I think that's a really dumb thing to do against a scary guy like Francis Ngannou. Ngannou's coming in there to take his head off, and Ngannou's going to take his head off. First round knockout, Francis Ngannou. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please like and subscribe. We got another video coming out to you. It's a 3-11 matchmaker in January. Hope you enjoy that as well. Again, please like and subscribe, but stay tuned. There's more videos coming out this week.